Cell wall. Cell wall is thick, strong, rigid, and provides strength and support to the cell. Now, what is the main difference between a cell membrane and cell wall? As the cell membrane is thin, elastic, and semi-permeable, while the cell wall is thick, strong, rigid. Both the function of the cell wall and cell membrane are same, as they both provide strength and support to the cell. But its composition and its texture is totally different from each other. Now, whether the cell wall is present in the animal cell? No, the cell wall is absent in the animal cell while present in the plant cell and also in some microorganisms like fungi. Now, what is the composition of the cell wall? So, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. The cell wall is made up of cellulose in the plants, and the first wall, which is made up of cellulose in the plant, is known as primary wall. While in the some plant, an other wall is also present which is next to the primary wall and is known as secondary wall. But the composition of the secondary wall is different than the primary wall, as the secondary wall is made up of lignin. Instead of cellulose, the secondary wall is made up of lignin. For example, the xylem cells. The xylem cells contain an other wall which is known as secondary wall, which is made up of lignin. So the main composition of the cell wall is cellulose, but some plants contain an other wall which is made up of lignin instead of cellulose. Now the composition of the cell wall in microorganism. So the cell wall in microorganism is made up of chitin, while the cellulose is absent. So the microorganism contain a cell wall which is made up of chitin. For example, fungi. The cell wall in prokaryotes. The cell wall in prokaryote is composed of amino acid and sugar, which is known as peptidoglycan. So the composition of the cell wall in prokaryote is also different. Again, the cell wall of plant is made up of cellulose. In some plant, an other wall is also present which is made up of lignin and is known as secondary wall. The cell wall of microorganisms are composed of chitin, while the cell wall of prokaryotes are composed of peptidoglycan, which is the amino acid and sugar. Plasmodesmata. Do you know what is plasmodesmata in the cell wall? Plasmodesmata are the pores present inside the cell wall, through which the cytoplasm of two cells are connected to each other. The plasmodesmata are the pores present inside the cell wall which connect the cytoplasm of the two cells, and the exchange of material are also take place through these plasmodesmata. Function of a cell wall. So the main function of the cell wall is also providing strength and support to the cell. The second point is that it will protect the cell from the pathogens. Now, what are the pathogens? Pathogens are those substances which are harmful for the cell. So, the cell wall will protect the cell from pathogen. Also, the cell wall will protect the cell from any physical injury.